What kind of words could melt the heart of Son Ye-jin, one of Korea's most beloved stars, and make her say yes to forever in an instant? Son Ye-jin reveals the heartfelt words from Hyun that made her say yes to forever. It's a confession that has left fans swooning and the internet buzzing. Red carpet revealed as we uncover the story behind this unforgettable moment right now. What kind of words could possibly make Son Ye-jin, Korea's beloved nation's first love, say yes to forever without a moment's hesitation? That question reverberated through the entertainment world when Son Ye-jin, during an exclusive interview, finally revealed the heartfelt sentence from Hyun that changed the course of her life. In a single confession, she reignited the love story that had already captivated millions, reminding us all why her marriage to Hyun is remembered not just as a celebrity union, but as a modern fairy tale. Their journey to forever was never an overnight miracle. It was a slow-burning story that began on the silver screen, blossomed behind the scenes, and culminated in one unforgettable moment. Before the world swooned at their lavish wedding and celebrated the birth of their first child, there were years of chance meetings, professional collaborations, and hidden affection. From their first collaboration in the 2018 thriller The Negotiation to their record-shattering on-screen chemistry in Crash Landing on You, every step of their story seemed to lead to the inevitable, Hyun and Son Ye-jin finding each other not just as co-stars, but as partners for life. When The Negotiation was released, fans already noticed the ease with which the two communicated. Though their characters never shared a room in the film, speaking only through video calls, the sparks were undeniable. At press events, their banter felt natural, their smiles too genuine to be rehearsed. Yet, at the time, any speculation was dismissed as wishful thinking. Veterans in the industry, celebrated for their professionalism, they knew how to promote a film without giving away too much. It wasn't until Crash Landing on You aired in late 2019 that the BinJin phenomenon truly exploded. The drama told the story of a South Korean heiress who literally crashes into the arms of a North Korean officer, captivated audiences around the world. Hyun and Son Ye-jin's chemistry was electric, so convincing that fans across Asia began to insist their romance was real. Online communities dedicated entire threads to dissecting behind-the-scenes clips, analyzing lingering glances and soft touches. By the time the drama concluded in early 2020, BinJin had become one of the most shipped couples in K-drama history. Still, the two stars remained silent, denied rumors politely, insisting they were just colleagues and good friends. Their agencies echoed the sentiment, urging fans to separate fiction from reality. For a while, the public seemed to accept it, until Dispatch, Korea's notorious paparazzi outlet, published photos on New Year's Day 2021 showing the couple together, driving in Hyunbin's car and enjoying quiet moments away from the spotlight. This time, there were no denials. Both agencies confirmed the relationship, and fans erupted in celebration. What had once been a fantasy now had the seal of reality. But even then, the couple kept their love private. Like other celebrity pairs who flaunt their romance, Hyun and Son Ye-jin were careful, protective, and understated. They understood the weight of public scrutiny and the fragility of happiness in an industry known for devouring its own stars. For months, little was known about their day-to-day life as a couple. Son Ye-jin posted a photo of flowers on Instagram. Fans wondered if they were from Hyun. When Hyun appeared in a commercial looking particularly joyful, fans speculated whether love was the reason. Then, in February 2022, came the announcement that shook the nation. Hyun and Son Ye-jin were engaged. Both released handwritten letters to their fans, expressing gratitude, humility, and joy. But the details of the proposal remained a mystery, until, much later, Son Ye-jin finally revealed the words that had made her heart surrender completely. According to her, the moment was nothing like the grand, staged proposals we see in dramas. There were no rose petals scattered on the floor, no orchestra playing softly in the background, no elaborate spectacle designed to impress. Instead, it was quiet, intimate, and achingly sincere. Hyun had looked into her eyes and spoken a single sentence that cut through all doubts, fears, and hesitation. It was not the length of the words, nor their poetic flair, but their honesty that moved her. Before she revealed the exact words, she described the moment. We were not on set, not in front of cameras, not surrounded by anyone else. It was just the two of us. In the simplest setting. He held my hand and spoke from his heart. It was one sentence. But in that sentence, I heard his entire soul. The revelation sent shockwaves through the audience. What could he have possibly said to the woman who had spent her life in the spotlight? Who had heard countless lines of scripted romance? What words could feel different, real, powerful, unforgettable? That was the question fans debated endlessly after her interview. Speculation ran rampant, with netizens offering their guesses. Some insisted it must have been a promise of eternal loyalty. Others thought it was something playful yet profound. But Sun Ye-jin insisted the power of the sentence lay in its simplicity. Hyun did not need flowery declarations or grand promises. He spoke from a place of truth. A place only she could fully understand. And in that moment, she knew that forever with him was not just a dream, but a safe reality. The impact of her revelation was immediate. Articles across Asia ran with a headline. Ye-jin reveals Hyunbin's words that made her say yes. Fans created artwork depicting the imagined proposal, with countless versions of what those words might have been. Some wrote fanfiction expanding on the moment, weaving elaborate tales of candlelit dinners and heartfelt speeches. Others celebrated the couple's quiet authenticity, praising them for proving that love does not need spectacle to be eternal. Even fellow celebrities chimed in. Co-stars who had worked with Hyun spoke of his sincerity and integrity, noting that it was entirely in character for him to win Ye-jin's heart with honesty rather than theatrics. Directors who had collaborated with Sun Ye-jin remarked on her sensitivity and depth, explaining that it made sense she would value heartfelt words over material gestures. What made the revelation even more powerful was its timing. By the time she shared the story, Sun Ye-jin and Hyun were already married and had welcomed their first child. Their love story had already passed the test of reality. The wedding, dubbed the wedding of the century, had been a fairy tale event attended by Korea's top stars. Their honeymoon photos had shown a couple radiating joy. The birth of their baby boy solidified their image as a family. Just a couple. And yet, the public's fascination with the origin of it all, the proposal, remained insatiable. Her revelation, therefore, not just a nostalgic anecdote, it was a gift to the millions who had supported them. A window into the intimacy of a love story that had become a national treasure. In a world dominated by headlines, gossip, and speculation, Sun Ye-jin offered something rare, truth. The proposal story, however, was only half the tale. If part 1 was about the moment that stunned the nation, 2 would be about the words themselves, their meaning, their legacy, and why they resonated so deeply not only with Sun Ye-jin but with everyone who has ever believed in the power of love. When Sun Ye-jin finally shared the moment Hyun proposed, it was not just a revelation of private intimacy but a reminder of how powerful the simplest words can be when spoken with sincerity. She described the proposal as quiet, unassuming, deeply personal. There was no grand stage, no dramatic build-up, no glittering spotlight. Just Hyun, her partner in both fiction and reality, holding her hand and speaking a single heartfelt sentence that broke down every wall she had built in her years under the unforgiving glare of fame. The words, as she revealed them, not the kind of rehearsed lines fans might expect from the star of countless romantic dramas. They were stripped of theatrics, free from exaggeration. And had looked into her eyes and said, "I don't want just today with you, I want every tomorrow." Lines so simple that, to some, it might have seemed ordinary. But to Ye-jin, who had spent a lifetime acting out scripted romances, the weight of those words was overwhelming. They were not crafted for a camera or an audience. They were raw, genuine, and offered not as a promise of perfection but as a pledge of enduring presence. In that moment, she said, realized she didn't need anything else. That was her forever. Fans across the world reacted with tears and cheers. Social media exploded with hashtags like Yes to Forever and BinJin proposal. This is the most beautiful proposal I've ever heard. One fan wrote on Twitter, "It proves that love doesn't need diamonds or fireworks, just honesty." Others echoed the sentiment, saying the line felt like something everyone longed to hear, not a declaration of grandeur, but a promise of companionship. The emotional resonance of the proposal extended beyond fandom. Cultural critics analyzed the impact, explaining why such a simple phrase carried so much weight. It is the essence of what people want in a relationship. One columnist wrote, "Not temporary passion, not fleeting gestures, but the assurance of tomorrow. That is why it touched Sun Ye-jin. And why it touches us all. For Sun Ye-jin, the significance was even deeper. She had often spoken in past interviews about her cautious nature. Her hesitation to settle down in an industry where relationships are fragile and privacy nearly impossible. Yet Hyunbin's words dissolved those fears. They were not about fame. Not about careers, not about image. They were about choosing each other, day after day. For as long as life would allow. Their friends and colleagues, when they heard the story, were unsurprised. That's Hyunbin, one co-star said. He's never been one for flashy gestures. He's genuine to the core. If he said those words, meant them with everything he has. Directors who had worked with Ye-jin remarked that it was only natural she would respond to such honesty. She values truth above all. One filmmaker noted. Hyunbin gave her truth. The wedding that followed was the culmination of that truth. Held in March 2022. The BinJin wedding was dubbed the wedding of the century. A glittering affair attended by Korea's top stars. Yet even amidst the grandeur of celebrity guests and lavish settings, what captured the world's attention was not the spectacle but the way the couple looked at each other. Every photo showed a quiet joy, an intimacy that echoed the simplicity of Hyunbin's proposal. When their honeymoon photos surfaced, two global stars strolling hand in hand like any ordinary couple, the public's admiration deepened. Here were two people who had conquered the heights of fame. Chose to live their love story not as an act but as a life. Later that year, when they welcomed their baby boy, the fairy tale seemed complete. Co-stars to partners. From partners to parents. Their journey was one that transcended drama and became a part of cultural memory. But perhaps the greatest legacy of Hyunbin's words lies in what they represent for fans and audiences worldwide. In an age dominated by spectacle, social media often glorifies excess and exaggeration. His proposal was a reminder that love thrives in simplicity. It was a message that resonated across cultures. What people truly long for is not perfection, but presence. Not empty promises, but the assurance of walking together through whatever tomorrow brings. The BinJin love story has already inspired countless essays, fan art, and even academic studies. Professors of media studies have cited it as an example of how celebrity narratives can shape cultural ideals of romance. International outlets have described it as a modern fairy tale that bridges the gap between fiction and reality. Yet at its core, the story is not about global impact or media frenzy. It's about two people who found each other, fell in love, and chose to say yes to forever. Sun Ye-jin, the words that sealed her decision were more than a proposal. They were a reflection of everything she had been searching for: stability, authenticity, and the quiet strength of a man who didn't need to impress her with extravagance. For Hyunbin, they were not a line crafted for effect but an unvarnished truth from his heart. Together, they turned that truth into promise, and that promise into life. As fans look back on their story, from crash landing on you to their wedding and beyond, one thing becomes clear: the love between Hyunbin and Sun Ye-jin has transcended the boundaries of drama, gossip, and speculation. It has become a symbol of what is possible when love is built not on spectacle but on sincerity. And so, when Sun Ye-jin revealed the words that made her say yes, she did more than satisfy curiosity. Reminded us all why love stories matter. Not because they are perfect, but because they are real. Not because they are grand, but because they are true. Hyunbin and Sun Ye-jin forever began with one simple sentence. For the rest of us, their story is a reminder that sometimes, all it takes to change a life is the courage to speak from the heart. When Sun Ye-jin revealed Hyunbin's heartfelt words, the world was captivated. True impact of that confession stretched far beyond a single sentence. It was not just the story of how one woman said yes to marriage, it was the story of how two people redefined what love could mean in the world of celebrity, and how their journey changed the cultural landscape of romance in Korea and beyond. In the weeks following her revelation, global media outlets dissected the moment and screamed the words that won Sun Ye-jin's heart. Fan communities overflowed with discussions, theories, and emotional tributes. Some fans shared personal anecdotes of how Hyunbin's words inspired them to be more open in their own relationships. Others wrote letters expressing gratitude, saying the couple had restored their faith in love. The simplicity of his proposal transcended language and culture. It was universal. resonating with anyone who had ever dreamed of a love that endured. Entertainment industry, too, took notice. For decades, Korean celebrities had approached romance with caution, hiding relationships for fear of backlash. Yet the BinJin story broke the mold. Not only did the public embrace their love, they celebrated it with unprecedented enthusiasm. Brands associated with the couple reported surges in popularity, while dramas starring either Hyun or Son Ye-jin saw renewed interest worldwide. Their story proved that love, in sincerity, could strengthen rather than weaken a star's image. But fame is never without cost. With every smile and every tender gesture magnified, Hyun and Son Ye-jin had to navigate a delicate balance. Paparazzi continued to pursue them relentlessly. Rumors swirled around even the smallest details of their lives. Yet through it all, they chose silence over spectacle, letting their actions speak louder than words. When they were spotted grocery shopping together, fans marveled at their normalcy. When Son Ye-jin shared a photo of a home-cooked meal on Instagram, fans speculated that Hyun had helped prepare it. These glimpses of ordinary life, however small, carried extraordinary weight, reminding the world that beneath the glamour were two people simply living out their forever. The birth of their first child only deepened the narrative. Suddenly, the proposal was no longer just the start of a marriage, it was the beginning of a family. Fans around the world celebrated the news as if it were their own, sending hashtags and flooding the couple with well wishes. For many, the BinJin baby symbolized hope, proof that even in an industry notorious for its pressures and pitfalls, love could endure and blossom into something lasting. The most profound impact of Hyunbin's words, though, was the cultural conversation they sparked. Commentators began to speak of a BinJin effect, how the couple had shifted expectations of romance in Korea. Younger generations, inspired by their story, expressed greater openness toward relationships and marriage. Even within the entertainment industry, more celebrities began speaking candidly about love, encouraged by the outpouring of support BinJin had received. Internationally, their love story became emblematic of Hallyu's global reach. It wasn't just the dramas or the music capturing hearts abroad, it was the authenticity of stories like theirs. Philippines, Thailand, Japan, and beyond. Fans organized events to celebrate their anniversary. Magazines across Asia featured retrospectives on their journey, calling them Korea's royal couple. Hollywood outlets like Variety and People ran pieces describing them as proof that true love can thrive even in the spotlight. Through it all, Son Ye-jin never wavered in her gratitude. In interviews, she often returned to that moment of proposal, reflecting on how a single sentence changed her life. It wasn't about the words themselves, she explained once, about the sincerity I felt in them. In that moment, I knew, this is the person I want to walk through every tomorrow with. And Hyun, true to form, he remained quiet, letting action speak for him. Those who knew him best said his devotion was clear in every gesture. From the way he looked at Ye-jin during public events to the way he spoke of family in rare interviews, love was evident. His proposal had not been a performance, it was the truth of who he was. The legacy of their love story is not just in the headlines or the hashtags. It is in the way they redefined what it means to be a couple in the entertainment industry. It is in the way they showed that love does not need grand gestures to be real. It is in the way they reminded us all that forever begins not with spectacle, but with sincerity. As fans continue to celebrate their journey, one truth shines through. Hyun and Son Ye-jin's story is not a fairy tale because it is perfect. It is a fairy tale because it is real. It is a reminder that even under the harshest lights, love can endure, grow, and inspire. Oh, when Son Ye-jin revealed the words that made her say yes, she did more than share a personal memory. She gave the world a timeless lesson. Sometimes, the simplest sentence can change everything. Sometimes, one quiet moment can echo louder than 1,000 headlines. And sometimes, saying yes to forever is as easy, and as profound, as hearing the right words from the right person. In the end, the story of Hyun and Son Ye-jin is not simply about fame, fortune, or even the glamour of being Korea's most beloved couple. About the quiet power of words, the sincerity of love, and the courage to embrace forever in a world that often doubts it. One sentence, simple, unpolished, yet deeply honest, was enough to make Son Ye-jin say yes without hesitation. That sentence became the spark for a marriage, a family, love story that transcended borders. Their journey reminds us that true romance does not need to be adorned with diamonds or fireworks. It does not require elaborate gestures or scripted perfection. It thrives in the smallest of moments, in the trust built over time, and in the courage to speak from the heart. Hyun Bin and Son Ye-jin's love is proof that even under the relentless scrutiny of the spotlight, sincerity can survive, and even flourish. For fans, their story has been more than entertainment. It has been a source of hope. A reminder that behind every headline are human hearts longing for connection. For the industry, it has been a turning point, proving that love can be celebrated rather than hidden. For Hyun Bin and Son Ye-jin themselves, it has been the beginning of a forever that grows richer with each passing day. To our readers across the world, Red Carpet Revealed extends its deepest gratitude. Thank you for following this journey with open hearts, for celebrating not only the glamour but the humanity of two people who dared to love in silence and in truth. Thank you for believing, for feeling, for reminding us why stories like these matter. Because in the end, love's greatest power is not in the spectacle, but in its authenticity. And sometimes, all it takes to change a life, and perhaps even inspire millions, is just one heartfelt sentence.